First thing I'm going to do today is try to finish up this 1965 Fender P-Bass. We're going to try to get the nut cut into the right height according to the specs that I now have some understanding of. Also, we're going to get the pickup put in, and before we do that, I want to take all the controls off of the pick guard and shield with some copper tape down here. I think that's pretty important, and since the original pick guard was butchered up, generally they come from Fender with shielding, and so I'm going to put the copper shielding back down. It's no big secret, it's no big job, but I will give you a shot of it when I'm done. I'm going to put the controls back in place, and then going to solder in the pickups and finish up what needs to be done on this old bass. I promised somebody I'd be playing it by Wednesday, so, and I don't want a hack job. I want to do it right. So that's what we're going to do today, and it's a Monday, so we're going to get it finished up. And then when we move on to my next project, which I think y'all are going to find really cool, I'm excited about it. I can hardly wait. Basically, I'm having to make myself finish this 65 P-Bass because I really want to jump on the new project that I came up with last Thursday or Friday, based on a text message I got from StewMac and a sale on their Jensen speakers. So that's kind of a hint of where we're going to be going with the next project, and let's get this bass done today. All right, so this is conductive copper tape. Now I want to tell you, this stuff is expensive, so you need to cut it right the first time. What I generally like to do is not even remove it from the roll. I'm just going to lay it out here. I'm going to make impressions with my fingers because it's like a teenager. It's very impressionable. Then all the holes, oh, I need to move that up just a little bit to cover that hole better. Then all the holes, I will just press in with my fingers. And this is really just to get an idea of where I need to cut along the outside lines. We can address the holes better. All right, now it's a very simple matter of taking that knife and running those angles, and I just like to try and run it where I get the best coverage out of the least copper tape. So basically we can set this aside now. And you can actually cut inside the lines. You obviously don't want this hanging out the edge of your pick plate. So you know, you can back it up just a little bit. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that right here. Just back it up along this edge. And it cuts very easily. Now you noticed I did that with my pick guard facing this way so that when I flip it over, it will run. It will run from this. Look at there. I did it upside down. That's what I was just going to tell you. Be careful. Don't run it upside down. But you know what? It's still going to work because I did it. I did it big enough that you just have to cover between the holes. So all I got to do is trim up this edge a little bit. Yeah, maybe tilt it like this. There we go. And like I say, we can cut out the holes after. Okay. And you notice I'm cutting just inside the line. Like I say, we don't want to have to put our body screws through it. Though some people probably do. I don't know. But I'm not going to. And this stuff sticks to itself very good, so don't let it touch to its adhesive to itself. So. And anywhere you think is sticking out too far, you can go ahead and trim it now. That screw hole is a little covered, so I'm going to take a little bit of that off. Try to cut carefully because, like I say, this tears very easy. I guess I should really have my glasses on doing this. Alright, now you can smooth this down just simply by taking anything smooth and running it back and forth across there and make it look really good. And you see how the holes are easily seen. All you gotta do is pick your pick guard up and just run around those holes. Like I say, it tears away really easy. Just kind of keep it symmetrical looking if at all possible. Main thing is that the part of your pots that actually contact the pick guard just have something to lay against. So they all are touching this, and they all are covered. The electronics cavity is covered by the tape, and that's to keep outside sounds from getting in more than anything, especially to your trim pot or your treble pot. You want that covered up. It can pick up a lot of noise. All right, so we got that. We're going to put our controls back in. You don't have to see that. That's just some mounting of some hardware on the pick plate. We'll come back when we got that in and got our pickup wired in and get everything set back, and then we'll start on the nut. Also wanted to show you these little, before I get them covered up, these little foam pads. I found out with the old foam that was on there of the original 65 pickups was, I mean, hard as a brick. And so I was going to use the brass plate from the set of 1971 or 72 pickup. And I looked on StuMac, and they sell the foam. So I had an order I was about to do anyway, so I just bought new foam. This is really good, really squishy, and it will allow the pickups to stick up as far as I need them to stick up. It'll give them good spring back up. And I wanted to show you those before we get it put back together. Okay, I want to show you a little something here about winding bass strings. And I'll tell you the rule that I use on my guitar strings. What I always do when I bring my string through the body or through the bridge, whichever case, whether it's a guitar or bass, whether it's top loading or back loading, I bring my string straight. Let's say I was going to put on the A string. I would bring it straight down through here, and I would carry on not one, but two winds. And that gives you enough to make a couple of rounds around the tuning peg. And the reason this is important, if you don't get that string low as you're winding, of course you put the winding under where you went in and bent over. And as you're winding, you want that string to head down because you want good pressure on this nut. If you don't, you're going to get a string buzz. It's going to buzz on the nut because you don't have enough break of an angle to hold that down taut against that nut. So always remember to allow yourself plenty of string so that you can make a couple wounds. And usually on the bass, now it won't hurt to leave more on these first two strings, number 1 and 2, which would be the G and the D. Because they're smaller diameter, obviously you can pack more winds on this. But these big ones, you need to at least go, when you do the E, you need to go to the D before you bend and cut. And I always allow just a little bit more for bending over, because for bending the string over to stick it in, because you can come back and trim some off, but you can't add any. So always leave yourself enough string to get a couple of really good winds to pull that string down close to that headstock. From the string lying across the nut, bring it down so you can see. Take the feeler gauge and insert it, and 20 thousandths, and that's got maybe just a tad more than 20 thousandths. Especially on the G string here. And probably could stand to be a little lower on the D and the G. But it's a fine line. The action feels pretty good to me. Like I say, probably a little high on the G and D string. But other than that, it feels good. It really sounds good. I was just playing like some... Now, I'm no bass player. that's what I've been doing. I've just been going, making sure there's not any fret buzz. You can put something, I don't have a pick handy, but I'll show you with this little screwdriver. Put something down like between these strings, say to hold that A string down to the fret, then you hold it down about the 15th or 16th fret, and you should have about, of neck relief, you should have about 8 to 12 thousandths between those strings. I checked that, and I'm doing pretty good with that. Once it's down at the first fret, I'm doing good. So my neck relief is good. I just might have to lower the nut slot a little more for the D and G, I think, possibly. But I got the intonation set. I've got the neck relief set. So all the intonation sounds good. Man, this bass is ready to go. I did have to clean out this pot on this pick guard again. These things were grungy. Of course, they're 1965 potentiometers in here, and this was, man, this one was still extremely noisy, and probably just a little bit of grit left in it, but you should have seen the black stuff just pour out of that when I hit it with that deoxit. It was, and just grunge ran out of it. And that was like the second or third time I'd cleaned it. So these things were really filthy. But I've got it, I think, in pretty good shape. And the only way to know is let a bass player get a hold of it and see what he says. If I need to lower the action, I can. You can always cut these nut slots a little lower, but it's very tough to add to them. You can with crazy glue and baking soda, you can build that nut slot up a little bit, but I don't want to do that. I want to just take it a little as I go and let my buddy Tom play it. And if Tom says it needs to be a little lower, we'll lower it a little. And that's what we're going to do. But the bass is pretty much wrapped up. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and it's going to make a good player. I had to put this rusty old strap button on here because that's all I had, and I only had one, so I'm going to have to order another one to put on the back of the bass here. But I'm excited about having it running. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad we got her going. So thanks for being a part of my bass, basically refurbishing and rebuild, refretting, and restringing, setting up the intonation. It all came out really good, and I'm happy with it. And I'm ready to move on to the next project. I think y'all are going to like that one really good. It's a neat little thing that I've seen on the internet, and I've known about it for a couple of years. And since I got the Fender Bandmaster recapped, went ahead and put all new capacitors in it, bypass caps and filter caps, and it sounds so good. But it's so huge. The head is very big, probably weighs 60 pounds, 50, 60 pounds. And the cabinet with the 212s in it, you know, it's this wide and this tall. So it huge. I got a project I do that's, I think it's going to be a big plus to that amp. And so tune in, hit the notifications, and subscribe so you'll see when I get that started. Okay? Thanks.